Good afternoon, everybody. It is Nightshade, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about All In Texas. Now, I know this is a first, and that I usually don't upload wrestling videos on the channel. That is a joke, because there are two already. And I know I sound very tired in this video, but I just want to give my raw and unfiltered opinions on All In Texas 2025. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and pick up to the point where I was watching the show all the way up until the very end. So the very first match that I saw was the last match on the 0 Hour, which was FTR versus the Outrunners. I can't sit here and lie to you guys. I didn't care about the match. That's really about it. Didn't pay attention to it, and that is exactly where we'll leave off there. And then let's go ahead and actually start the show. So the very first match on the show was the Opps versus the Death Riders. Honestly, man, I thought this match was absolutely electric. I would give it an A+. Reason being is because it did exactly what it needed to. It warmed up the crowd. I thought that Shibata looked great. Powerhouse Hobbs looked amazing. I thought Samoa Joe looked great. Gabe Kidd, he is fantastic, and he fits so well within the Death Riders Paragon. Adam Cole, baby. But he did such a great job in the match, and Wheeler Yuta did a fantastic job as well. And Claudio, I love me some Claudio Castagnoli. He's awesome. These guys had such a great opener, and the thing that I loved about the show is that every match had the correct amount of time. Nothing was rushing for time. Nothing was overtime. It was just a fantastic show. And honestly, I'm very grateful that the Opps won. One thing I will say, though, is I'm not too sure what's going to happen now because Samoa Joe obviously got taken out with the steel chair because of Claudio. But we'll live to see another day. And hopefully we'll find out what's going to go on this Wednesday at Dynamite. A+. And then the next match that we had was the Men's Casino Gauntlet match. Dude, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is one of the greatest wrestling matches that I've ever seen. And, as in the Wrestling in 2024 video, I've seen a lot of wrestling, I watched 98 Raw, 98 98, 99, 2000, all the way up until about 2018. I've seen AEW 2024. And in a future video, I will be watching and ranking all the AEW pay-per-views. And to just go ahead and answer a question real quick, no, I will not be watching any of the Dynamites leading up to the pay-per-views. Not because I don't want to or that I don't care. It's just that, we work a full-time job. And I don't want to be watching old AEW episodes and then, watching current day episodes just because, that would be a very big mess. But that's not even the point. Let's talk about the Men's Casino Gauntlet match. Absolutely fantastic. Mark Briscoe did a great job even though he didn't win the match. My boy MJF did such a great job. I love whenever he comes out with the flag and all that stuff, and he looked dripped out of his mind. I love the classic scarf that he has going on. I love that his Titantron is gold and all that stuff. Mystico had a pretty good showing. Konosuke Takeshita had a very great showing. Josh Alexander looked amazing. Mystico was absolutely fantastic in this match. The Beast Mortos was absolutely fantastic. The only complaint that I really have about this match is that I wish Nigel McGuinness would have been in it. And another thing is that I'm very happy that Juice Robinson is back. I also wish that we would have gotten to see the return of the Switchblade Jay White, but things just didn't line up that way, and I wish we would have got to see Orange Cassidy as well. But yeah, very appreciative that MJF won the match. I'm so happy for him. He did such a great job, and everybody in that match did a great job. And then the next match, it was originally supposed to be, if my phone would load, sorry about this. The next match was originally supposed to be Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole for the TNT title, but Adam Cole got injured, and he has a history of concussions and stuff like that. And so Adam Cole, he does his entrance, he comes out with the TNT title, and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, they were on the outside of the ring apron. They're just watching him talk. And it really broke my heart because, I was really excited to watch Adam Cole wrestle. He is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. His stuff in Ring of Honor was great. His stuff as NXT was absolutely fantastic. And, at the very start of COVID-19, whenever him and Pat McAfee had that great little feud, I watched that clip multiple times a day where he goes on the show and he shoves the microphone down. And he's just one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it. And he's been having so many health problems. Whenever he jumped off the stage at Grand Slam 2023 and he broke his ankle, that was just heartbreaking. And the matches that he had when he came back, great match with Konosuke Takeshita, great match with Aleister Black, who's now back in WWE, and excellent match, in my opinion, at Worlds in 2024. But the fact that he said that he might have to retire absolutely breaks my heart. And I read online that he's been having a lot of brain problems. Back in 2023, he was visiting a doctor 3 times a week, and he said that he was seeing a number going across and up and down and diagonal, and he said to pass the brain test he had to score a 120, and he only scored a 38, and that is very, very scary. So yeah, it's very disappointing that we didn't get to see him wrestle, but I'm just happy that he's not wrestling, and I hope he takes as much time as he needs, and I hope he can come back, because if it doesn't come back, that's definitely going to break my heart, because I've always felt this about Adam Cole, but he's never really gotten the run that he deserved. When he was in WWE, Vince McMahon didn't like him, and he didn't get to be the World Heavyweight Champion, which I thought he should have been. And I know he was a multiple-time NXT champion, but I just really wish he could have been, the WWE champion or the Universal champion. And coming to AEW, I mean, I kind of wonder if he was going to win the AEW World Championship before he broke his ankle. But yeah, overall, Adam, stay safe out there. I hope you're okay, and thank you. If this is you retiring, I would like to say thank you for everything. You're one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and Adam Cole, baby, boom. But the next match that we had was a four-way, which was impromptu. Kyle Fletcher versus Sammy Guevara versus Daniel Garcia versus Dustin Rhodes. Now, this match, unfortunately, had to follow Adam Cole almost saying that he might retire. And yeah, it literally took the air out of the whole building. I mean, it was absolutely just... The match wasn't even bad. It was a good match. Everything was technically profound and... Not profound. Sorry, everything in the match was technically sound. It's just that just killed the crowd, and that killed the match. But halfway through, they started getting into it, and Dustin Rhodes actually won, and I did not expect that. Me, personally, I would have went with Kyle Fletcher, but I understand that maybe down the road he'll get it, but we'll find out. Overall, I was very happy for Dustin because, he did a really good job in the match selling it and just his character. And one of my favorite part of the whole match is whenever Kyle Fletcher was in the corner and they were going to do the Shattered Dreams on him, and everybody hit it before him. That was absolutely hilarious. Then the next match that we have is Swerve, Strickland, and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. And if the Young Bucks lose the match, they lose their EVP powers. And if Will Ospreay and Swerve lose, they would have to not contend for the world title for 1 calendar year. This match absolutely destroyed. It's one of the best matches that I've ever seen in my entire life. It started off with Will Ospreay coming out to the Assassin's Creed intro like he did last year. Now, me personally, I liked the intro a lot more last year because I literally had goosebumps up and down my body, but this year was absolutely fantastic. And Swerve Strickland had a fantastic entrance, and the pyro for the show was probably the best pyro that they've ever done at any of the shows that they've ever had. And the Young Bucks, they came out to their song, and then after that, they got on a boat. That was absolutely hilarious. That is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. Now, when the match got started, it started off a little bit slow. Obviously, we're still reeling from, Dustin winning the title and Adam Cole saying that he might retire. But, man, once this got going, it went. Now, if you're asking me from a moves perspective, it was obviously a B-tier match. But if you're asking me from a story perspective, it was absolutely fantastic. Will Ospreay and Swerve not being able to work together earlier in the match and then it slowly building up was absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite spots of the match was when they were just getting absolutely beat down and Ospreay was in the ropes. And then after that, they were constantly kicking him, and Swerve, he covered him up just like how he took the bullet for him like he did on Dynamite. And then he absolutely fired up, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the way that the match ended was just great, because if I'm remembering this correctly, apologies, it's been a long day, but if I remember it correctly, he hit the hidden blade, and he did a house call. It was oh yeah, that's right. Ospreay did a hidden blade, and Swerve at the same time did a swerve stomp to the back of his head. It was fantastic. I mean, I'm so happy that the EVP shit is over. Sorry for cursing, and I really hope that Will Ospreay gets to win the world title at some point because, as I've said on this channel, he is my favorite wrestler of all time. And if you're asking me, my AEW Mount Rushmore, MJF is the face. He's the second. Third is probably Bryan Danielson. And the fourth is the ace, Jon Moxley. But yeah, overall, that match was absolutely fantastic. And then the next match was the Women's Casino Gauntlet. I don't really have too much to say about it, not because it was a bad match or anything. But man, this match was so much better than the match that they had last year. I loved Tekla. I love me some Queen Aminata. Chris Statlander did a great job. Willow Nightingale was absolutely fantastic. Ty Mello did a really good job. I love Megan Bayne. She is absolutely one of my favorites in the women's division right now. And Athena had a all-timer match with Mercedes Moné on Dynamite a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago at the time of this recording. But man, dude, I am super excited to see her come up to the AEW roster at some point and hopefully challenge and win the women's world title. It might not be now, but in the future we'll see. And yeah, that was a great match. Then the next match that we had was the Hurt Syndicate versus Jet Speed versus the Patriarchy. Dude, this match absolutely slapped and it destroyed. This is one of the best tag matches that I've ever seen. I mean, I went into the match with no expectations other than we all knew that the Hurt Syndicate were going to win, but it really wasn't even about that. I mean, Nick Wayne was great. Christian did a really good job. I mean, Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, oh my God, man. Those two need to get a tag run at some point, and those two need to have a match with FTR. I mean, oh my goodness, that match is going to absolutely destroy at some point. And the Hurt Syndicate, they looked great in this match, and I love having MJF there. FTR and commentary were great. One of the ending spots of the match was the Hurt Syndicate, getting inside of FTR's business, and that means that down the road we're going to get that match. And that might be the match where MJF turns on him, but never quote me. And, yeah, the Hurt Syndicate, they got the easy dub, and, they didn't even break a sweat because they hurt people. And then, they walked away, and Christian gave Nick Wayne a hug and all that stuff, and then he gave him an unprettier. And then FTR, they turned their backs and all that stuff, and that was fantastic. And one of the best moments of the night for me personally. So Christian, he was laying on the mat. They were about to do the concerto to him, and then literally Edge's music hit. And I know his name is Adam Copeland, but I grew up watching him as the Rated R Superstar Edge. And man, that place exploded. And the pyro that he had was absolutely fantastic. And he saved his former friend Christian. And one of the things that I loved is that he brought the spike bat back, and then after that he grabbed a microphone and he lifted him up, and he referenced the promo where they had, and he said, "Go find yourself." I mean, that was an absolutely electric moment. And yeah, dude, the next match that we have is the 3 main events: Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. I'm just gonna call it right here. That, in my opinion, is Mercedes Moné's greatest match in AEW history. She had a great match with Athena, excellent match with Mina Shirakawa, great match with Willow Nightingale last year at Double or Nothing, and she had 2 all-timers, in my opinion, with Chris Statlander at Full Gear and World's End. And here's the thing, I understand if you don't like her or hate her. Also, she had a great match with Harley Cameron at Australia Grand Slam earlier this year. But in my opinion, she is, in the ring, she's a step above everybody, and it's because she's a world-class athlete, and she's traveled all over the world. And I know a lot of people aren't very fond of her multiple belt stuff, and I agree, because it takes away your time in AEW, and, if I wanted to go watch them, I'd go watch them. But it does help her character a lot, and I do like that. And then Toni Storm, I've said this on multiple occasions, I don't think Toni Storm is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, just because she's kind of a brawler and punch kick. But the thing about her is that she's the one thing that nobody else in wrestling seems to understand, and that's being a character. And she wrestles to the strengths of her character, and that's exactly what wrestling should be. And these two, they put on an absolute all-timer. I mean, everything about this match was great. And, I mean, one of my favorite spots was whenever Toni Storm got on Luther's arms, and they did she grabbed her by the hair, and she was leading her to the post. And then when Sasha broke Luther's glasses, that was fantastic. And, I mean, just the in-sequence of the match was absolutely fantastic. Her hitting multiple pile drivers on her and all that stuff. And then the ending of the match where she kissed her and then she dropped her on her head, I genuinely thought that she died. I mean, that was insane. And the entrances that they had were absolutely breathtaking. Mercedes coming out to all the cheerleaders wearing her belts and all that stuff, and then the pyro going off, and then Toni Storm coming out to literally like a Blockbuster, and not like the video store, literally like, a 1950 movie theater setup. And just the match that they had was great. In my opinion, I think Toni Storm has kind of left everybody in the dust this year. And, I mean, last year I gave the Women's Wrestlers of the Year to Mariah May for the second half of the year, Toni Storm for the first half. And, honestly, I think Toni Storm's going to win it again at this point. I mean, holy, she can just go out there and have great matches. Now, if you're asking me for my current Women's Match of the Year, it's the Hollywood ending that they had at Revolution with Mariah May and her. I mean, that is the greatest AEW's women match that I've ever seen. And this is the second. This match was just absolutely fantastic. It was electric, and I hope Sasha Banks is okay. I hope she didn't hurt her neck, and I'm very excited to see what happens for the rest of the year for the women's division, because honestly, I think it's on fire. The second to last match that we had, the penultimate match before the main event, was Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. See, this match holds a lot of personal value to me because back in 2016 and 2017 and 2018, WWE sucked. Let's just keep it frank. When Cody left and he joined Being the Elite, that really introduced me into New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Okada was obviously the world champion, but the Bullet Club was bigger than them. And the way that they just wove those stories together, I mean, I know I've brought this up multiple times in my personal life and on this channel, but there was a video where it showed literally right after WrestleMania 31 with Kenny Omega saying, you see, last week at that show, they said that they're the best wrestling, but you're about to say something beautiful. and it literally showed every single moment up until he won the New Japan Pro Wrestling Championship, and it showed a recap of all the Okada matches. Their first match, their 60-minute draw, and then the one where he actually beat him. And I know there's a fourth match that I'm forgetting, but I don't think I've seen it, question mark. It doesn't really matter. I mean, this match held a lot of sentimental value because in 2018 I bought a Bullet Club shirt, the very first time I bought a non-WWE shirt, and it was the first time that I've ever actually seeked wrestling outside of WWE, and watching Japanese wrestling has completely shifted my perspective on watching wrestling. And I understand there's so many forms of wrestling to enjoy, the British scene, the American scene, the Mexico scene, the Canada scene, and just, the German scene. I'm just saying, I appreciate all forms of professional wrestling, and this match lived up to every single expectation that I ever had for it. Now, Kenny Omega had diverticulitis, the same thing Brock Lesnar had, and the thing that breaks my heart is that he wrestles like he tries to wrestle the way that he used to, but it's just never going to happen that way again. And this match blew the roof off the building for me personally. I mean, golly, Okada is such an effortless wrestler, and his moveset is so defined and so sound, and the way that he sells and the way that he works, it's just, I appreciate everything about him, and I really think that he is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. And I know he's not in his prime anymore, but I mean, you're comparing a guy who wrestled pretty much every single day from like the moment right before he won the New Japan title all the way up until he left. And that's the thing I don't like about New Japan or All Japan, is that they break their bodies down. Because I saw an interview today where Will Ospreay was like, you go on a tour for 6 weeks and you come home for 2 weeks. You go on a tour for 8 weeks, you come home for 3 weeks. And the thing is that when you're on that tour, it seems like you just wrestle every single day. And it's like, if you're wrestling every single day for 6 weeks, there's 30 days in 4 weeks. And so you're basically wrestling every day for about, if you do 15 and 30, that's 45 days. And not having proper rest, that just breaks your body down earlier and all that stuff. And I know I got a little bit off point about the match, but the point that I'm really trying to make is that I don't know how we can expect these guys to be what they used to be when they used to wrestle schedule 300 nights a year, and that breaks your body down, and that breaks the longevity of, going longer than you can. And then back to the match. I mean, having Kota Ibushi there at ringside with Kenny Omega was great. Don Callis on commentary is always a treat. He is one of the best in my opinion that isn't a regular. Having JR there after beating cancer was just such a beautiful moment. And the match itself was great. The multiple V-triggers, the one-winged angels, the rainmakers, and the missile drop kicks, and the snapdragon suplex off the top. I mean, I'll be honest, the one thing that made this match different from every match is that it felt like a true New Japan match. And I'm talking like prime 2017 New Japan. It was absolutely breathtaking. And I know that Omega didn't win it, but like I said earlier, he can't wrestle the way that he used to, and I thought it was very smart of them to go with Kazuchika Okada. And to be truthful with you, I think the person who should beat him for the unified titles should be Konosuke Takeshita, because those two are going to have an absolutely fantastic match when they eventually get to go down the line. And the very last match that we have to talk about is the penultimate main event, the Texas Death Match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Recently, Will Ospreay and Hangman, they had a match at Double or Nothing, and I was very disappointed when Will Ospreay didn't win the match, because like I said earlier, he is my favorite, and I understand that makes me a mark. I acknowledge that, finger up in the air. But yeah, man, I thought it should have been Will Ospreay, because like I said, greatest wrestler in the world, but I completely understand why they went with Hangman, because he's the face of AEW, the main character, just like MJF said in that feud that they had a couple months ago. And my God, that match with Ospreay completely revitalized all his love and his passion for wrestling, because these two, the build-up was absolutely fantastic, and I mean, this match blew me out of the water. I mean, this, in my opinion, is the greatest match of Hangman's career and the greatest match of Jon Moxley's career. I mean, the entrances were electric. As soon as Hangman came out to his old theme, I knew he was going to win right then, right there, but I still was just enjoying the ride. And then Jon Moxley coming out to his song. I absolutely love his song. Now, that's his heel song in New Japan, but my God, and I love Wild Thing. I mean, I love Wild Thing. But, man, hearing that song live at the episode of Dynamite that I went to was just great. And, oh, my God. So, they started the match off, and then they whip out the forks, and then after that, they whip out the glass. Then after that, they whip out the barbed wire. Then they go through the barbed wire tables, and then, Marina Shafir goes through a table, and then after that, another table spot happens. I don't really remember when it happened. And then, I know I'm skipping over a lot of details, and I'm just hitting the highlights, but man, this match was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the spike that Hangman went on and then John Moxley went on, and there was so much blood everywhere. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was just absolutely fantastic. And then the end sequence of the match. Now, I've known this was going to happen since the moment that he won the match against Will Ospreay, but it was going to always be like the match where Cody and Roman had, where everybody was coming out, and it did not disappoint me. I mean, they were going into the match, and the Death Riders came out, and then Will Ospreay came out, and he got stomped on, which means he's going to be out for some time. I don't know, and I sure hope he doesn't miss Forbidden Door, because it's going to be in his home country of England. And then everybody else coming out. Seeing the return of Bryan Danielson was absolutely electric, and that was fantastic. I wanted him back in AEW for so long, and I understand that his full-time career is over, but man, it just breaks my heart that he can't wrestle anymore, because I love Bryan Danielson. He's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, and he's the third face on my Mount Rushmore. And then, seeing Swerve Strickland come out and help Hangman after the excellent feud and continuing feud that they still have was just great. And then the way that the match ended, he wrapped the chain around his neck, he threw him over the rope. I mean, that was absolutely brilliant, and that was absolutely fantastic. And then seeing Hangman just win the belt, I mean, it's very emotional, because I've enjoyed Jon Moxley's title reign. It's not been perfect, because I thought the Orange Cassidy stuff was excellent. It sucks that he took away Darby's title shot. It should never have been like that. And then he had a great match at World's End, but, it kind of fell apart because he went through the table, he got injured. And then after that, he came in, pinned Jay White. Shouldn't have happened. Then after that, the build to their match with Cope and him at Revolution the build was great, but the match, it had to follow Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. And I mean, there's no way they could have followed that match, and they didn't. The crowd was very dead, and it was a very flat finish. And I was so embarrassed that I literally looked down at the ground. But then those two had, their match on Dynamite that Wednesday, and that blew their pay-per-view match out of the water. And then after that, I didn't buy Dynasty because I was working, but I knew Swerve wasn't going to win. And then Double or Nothing, he was obviously in the Anarchy match. And then this match, I mean, like I said earlier, I think that is the best match of both of their careers retrospectively. And in my opinion, that is the AEW match of the year and the wrestling match of the year as a whole. Overall, I would like to say thank you to every single person who works at AEW, on screen and off screen, all the wrestlers, all the commentators, everybody who works for the company and everything. AEW, in my opinion, is the greatest wrestling organization going today, and I'm so very passionate, and I'm very thankful that I got to watch the show live. And I hope that they return to doing pay-per-views on Saturday, because one of my favorite things is when you do a pay-per-view on Saturday, you have Sunday off, and then you look forward to Wednesday, because I look forward to Wednesday every single week. And, yeah, that's basically my unfiltered and raw opinion on All In Texas 2025. And, yeah, thank you guys for watching today's video. I know it was very sporadic, and I hope to see you guys in the very next video. Peace out.